Just kind of talk about probability and statistics and how you would use it.
Okay.
How you wouldn't use it?
How you would use
How
it.
you would use it.
At least in my case, I work for a large company, and they make any number of things from gas turbines to wind turbines. And not only do we produce them, but we service them. So we sell the unit, and we also sell a service contract. And so probabilistic design is used in, especially, I'm going to use the example on the service side, to determine how much we should charge our customers for the service or maintenance of the products. And what we as engineers do is we determine for each part how often it's going to need to be maintained and how much that's going to cost. And a wind turbine, which is composed of hundreds of thousands of parts, okay, we have reliability engineers who get all that data, all the data from each individual part, how long it's going to take to maintain it, how much it's going to cost to fix it, how many guys it's going to take. And they use they do a probabilistic analysis for the lifetime of the turbine. In most cases, for the wind turbines, it's 20 years. And they determine how often, statistically, that turbine is going to need to be repaired and how much it's going to cost using probabilistic design. It may come out better, it may come out worse. But they do a best fit curve on how much it's going to cost. We use that information to price our service options so that we don't charge the customer too much and they go and get their service from somebody else. But we also don't want to charge the customer too little because, of course, then we lose money. We don't make a profit on our service. So that's a case where those numbers are crunched by our reliability, unreliability team to help come up with those numbers.
Cool. We have a banker here to tell us what we're going to do. How would you use probability and statistics?
In the mortgage business, which is where I have been working for the past 30 years, we are under control of the United States government in how we can lend and the requirements that have to be met when somebody wants to buy a home in the mortgage industry. So the government has set aside the same thing in any situation, the probability of what we need to line up when we are looking at lending somebody $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. So there are limits. You know, obviously, if somebody wants to borrow a lower amount of money, there are different credit scores, different debt-to-income ratios that they can be qualified under. As that loan amount goes up, that person has to have a little bit better credit score. Their debt-to-income ratio has to be a little bit lower because the security value is higher and the statistics that person might not pay are a little bit higher. So the government has set standards of what conditions have to be met when somebody wants to go out and get a mortgage loan these days, and it's not easy to do. So credit has to be pulled, and their financial history has to be analyzed, their credit has to be analyzed, and we have to look at so much now more than we used to do in years gone by. The government let rules slack 5-10 years ago, and now we're in a mortgage crisis where we were letting people borrow more than they should have and borrow on loans, certain types of loans that they shouldn't have been able to do, and now we're paying for it because those people could not afford those loans. So the government has required that the standard in the industry be much more strict because they can see that the probability of somebody making a payment is greater on the amount of loan and the type of loan that we do. We're looking at 30 years. Most people get a loan for 30 years. So statistically, if someone's debt-to-income ratio is over 45%, which means they're taking that house payment plus all of their debt, and they're dividing that by their income, and that ratio is over 45%, statistically that person is not going to make that payment. It's too high. It's something they're not going to be able to afford and get into trouble. So standards have been met of probability of who's going to be able to do what and handle what and statistically, history has shown us what customers can afford in the mortgage industry. So that is where we are now, and we're trying to regulate it. And I know a lot of people say it's so hard to get a loan these days, and that is why.
All right. Thank you, Miss Lori. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Probability Project.